Hare. Nice to see you joining us.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Okay, we are live. You're good to begin.
Good morning and welcome to the March monthly DAC Webcast. I'm Jennifer Stafford, the Director in the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support, and we thank you for joining us today for the discussion. Before we get started into the agenda, I just want to thank everyone for your attendance and attention during the February DAC hybrid question and answer sessions. We were so glad to be back with you in person, and as well as to be able to support those that were joining us virtually. So we thought that they went quite well, and we are so glad that we were able to actually be with you in person and to see everyone that was there. And for those that were online, we were glad to see you online as well. But it was really nice being able to be back with you in person. Just a little update on testing. We have started ACT testing, and Cher is going to provide you an update on it and some important reminders today, as well as we are just finishing up with access testing. And so I just want to say thanks to everyone for the efforts on those two assessments that are in progress and going well too. The agenda for today includes some topics that will bring new people to you. And so we're happy to introduce a couple of new faces to you and welcome them to our DAC Webcast. The first, we'll start out with introducing Lisa Jett. Lisa Jett is a consultant in the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support. And if you were at the Frankfurt in-person session, you got to meet her there. And if you were in the other sessions, you heard her voice. So Lisa Jett is joining us today, as well as Dr. Love Robertson from the Office of Career and Technical Education. We do have some career and technical updates for you today. So we welcome Dr. Robertson to our broadcast as well. The agenda is we're going to start with Lisa in talking about the kindergarten screen. She is our consultant who is managing that project. And then we'll transition to Dr. Robertson for career and technical education updates. Then Shara Savage will join us with ACT reminders and EOC, the state administration, some important updates and reminders on that. I'll join you for the Kentucky Summative Assessment and also information on ordering paper materials for Braille and large print. And then we'll finish out with an update on the addendum to the ESSA state plan. And then along the way, we'll pause for question and answers. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Lisa for kindergarten updates.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Jett, and I'm going to bring you some updates on the K-Screen process. The Office of Assessment and Accountability, in conjunction with Curriculum Associates, have designed a Google form for the 2022-2023 K-Screen order process. Your district brigance contacts, or DACs, will be able to submit orders to Curriculum Associates through KDE with the use of a Google form. This new form is a hybrid method containing both the Curriculum Associates order form from last year, but is going to be housed in a Google form. The proposed ordering window is March 14th through April 1st. More details concerning the ordering process will be found in the upcoming K-Screen refresh training, which is happening next Friday, March 18th. We will be hosting the Training of Trainers Refresh webcast at 1 p.m. Eastern on March 18th. This training will provide K-Screen updates for experienced district K-Screen trainers who previously have attended the full training of trainers and need to refresh their training for the upcoming school year. Experienced trainers can access the K-Screen Refresh training event as a live event in Microsoft Teams. For those who cannot attend on March 18th, a recording of the live broadcast and question and answer session will be available on the KDE Media Portal. Attendees will receive 1 hour of Effective Instructional Leadership Act credit. KDE and Curriculum Associates will be hosting the Kindergarten Screen Training of Trainers at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern on March 25th. This training will be a virtual event on Zoom and is required for new K-Screen coordinators who will need to provide the 3-hour training to teachers and district staff. The training of trainers is only required for new K-Screen coordinators. KDE is accepting registrations on the Google form linked below until 5 p.m. Eastern on March 23rd. More information on how to access the virtual event and materials needed for this training will be provided on March 24th via email to registered district trainers. Attendees will receive 6 hours of Effective Instructional Leadership Act credit. If you cannot attend on March 28th, KDE and Curriculum Associates will be hosting a second virtual event in July. One item you will need for these trainings is the K-Screen Implementation Guide. It is now posted on KDE's Common Kindergarten Entry Screener webpage and is in the process of being posted on the Brigance, Kentucky site. If you have any questions concerning the K-Screen process, please feel free to contact me at lisa.jett@education.ky.gov.
Thank you, Lisa. And if anyone has any questions, we are taking questions through the DAC info mailbox. It's dacinfo@education.ky.gov. And Ben Riley is monitoring that email box now. So you can submit your questions to DAC info. And I see Ben. Ben, do you have any questions now for Lisa?
I don't at this time, but if we get any, we can follow up at the end and ask them at the end during our Q&A time.
Thank you. And thank you, Lisa, for the update. We'll turn now to Dr. Robertson for our CTE updates.
Great. Good morning, fellow colleagues. Today I will share a few reminders from the Office of Career and Technical Education regarding accountability, industry certifications, CTE, end of program assessment, skilled trades track assessment, and the spring 2022 pilot testing. Regarding CTE, schools are held accountable at both the state and federal level. At the state level, we are assessed based on post-secondary readiness in Kentucky's accountability system. The career readiness indicators are intended to signal a student's readiness for the next step in their post-secondary plans, whether that be pursuit of college coursework and/or entry into the workforce. This year, concentrators in a pathway will count in the denominator regarding federal Perkins accountability. One thing to note is that in 2021-22, early graduates for articulated credit only will not count towards or as part of the state accountability for students or the school. This was a one-time exception given the situation the past 2 years. Industry certifications are one measure of career readiness and post-secondary credential for accountability and federal Perkins funding. The 2021-22 valid industry certifications and industry certification allocations for free and reduced lunch students are available on the KDE website. The submission deadline for the industry certification reimbursement is April 15th. The CTE end of program assessment testing window is now open. This is also a measure of career readiness and post-secondary credentialing for accountability and federal Perkins funding. All EOP testing must be completed by March 31st. Please refer to the CTE EOP assessment webpage and the CTE End of Program CTE EOP Assessment Coordinator and Test Administrator manuals for more details. Results are scheduled to be released by April 16th for the CTE End of Program assessments. For the 2021-22 performance results and EOP certificates, these will be available in ESES. DACs and CTE EOP assessment coordinators will have access to certifications and performance results. Assigned administrative ESES accounts, additional ESES report users for district and school will have access to performance reports for reporting also. For students meeting benchmark, assessment results will also be available in State Edition Infinite Canvas for the student's official high school transcript, and the assessment will show on the student's e-transcript. The Skilled Trades Track Assessment is a component of an industry certification administered in ESES. Schools will complete testing during their selected consecutive 2-week testing window, which is the same for some schools testing during the CTE EOP assessment. I'm sorry, it's the same school testing window for CTE EOP assessment. All initial skilled trades track testing must be completed by March 31st. Track performance results are available immediately. April 18th through the 29th is the 2022 Skilled Trades Track Assessment retest window for track carpentry and track electrical. April 1st through the 29th is Spring 22 pilot testing for the 2022 Skilled Trades Track Welding pilot assessment. More details will be provided to eligible schools. Pilot testing performance results will not be provided to schools and/or students. The purpose is to field test items for future assessments. This concludes my portion of today's webcast. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Office of Career and Technical Education.
Thank you so much. So, hello everyone. I come to you today to bring you some ACT updates and reminders. So the initial testing window is underway, and overall it has been a successful first week of testing. We have successfully tested approximately 18,000 students this week. To put that into perspective for you, we only tested an approximately 14,000 students during the spring 21 administration. So, so things are moving along quite well. So this testing window will wrap up on March the 18th. And on behalf of OAA, we thank you for all your hard work and efforts this spring. Here are the dates for the makeup window 2, the test window 2. The window in which testing staff can request materials to conduct testing during window 2 is open and closes on Friday, March the 11th. Additional orders for standard time and non-college reportable accommodation materials, as well as online testing material return kits, can be placed in PAN, the ACT Pearson Access Next, at this time. ACT authorized accommodation materials for usage in window 2 can be requested by contacting ACT's accommodations team. If a school tested with paper materials on March the 8th, all makeup exams will be online. But if you tested online and you want to complete your makeups with paper, that would be your one paper test date. You are welcome to place an order for those paper materials. But again, if you tested with paper this past Tuesday, all your makeups will need to be online. Because remember, we're taking that phased-in approach to transition to all online testing by next spring in 2023. This will be fully online. So just to reiterate, if a school opted into paper testing during the initial test window 1, all testing conducted in the makeup window 2 will be online. Additionally, we trained and we talked about that KDE's expectation is that everyone would test in the initial test window 1 and complete all makeup exams in window 2. That was the expectation that we set, and that we said that districts would only select 2 windows to administer the ACT. And we had published the test window 3, and we labeled it as the emergency test window. But at this time, the emergency test window 3 is not going to be a viable testing option. So if you have made plans to test in that emergency window, please contact me so we can discuss alternative testing options for you. And then if you experience testing issues new this spring, there is a Kentucky specific ACT customer care phone number. Now, it's not an 800 number, but if you call this number during testing dates, so during our testing window like it's going on now, your call is prioritized above anyone else, any other states calling that are not testing. Testing staff should consider using this number should they have questions or needs during testing. So if you run into an issue, say that your internet goes out or students are kicked out of TestNav, you will need to stop or pause the testing environment and call this number, the 319 number, and ACT will walk you through exactly the steps that you need to take. So now let's switch some gears. So that was the updates and reminders for ACT. So let's switch gears to the end of course, or the EOC administration. So on March the 11th is the deadline for all the materials, all the test booklets to be mailed back to KDE. So this Friday, everything needs to be boxed up, shipped back with the, remember you need to have that tracking number on file just in case that we need it. So this Friday, all that is to be returned. March 18th is the, by the close of business on March the 18th, we will have the scores available for window 2. On March the 28th is when is the deadline that I'm setting for any retake, or if you need to, if a student has decided not to pursue the early graduation pathway and doesn't want to test in window 3, let me know that as well, or any additional exams that you may need. Please let me know by March the 28th. On March the 31st, we will be shipping out test window 3 materials. And then that last, or the test window 3 will begin on April the 18th through the 29th. And that wraps up all of the reminders and updates that I have for you. I will turn it over to Jennifer.
Thanks, Shara. And let me pause at this point and ask Ben if he has any questions for Dr. Robertson or Shara.
We've not received any questions at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks to Dr. Robertson and thanks to Shara. Got just a couple of reminders here about the upcoming Kentucky Summative Assessment. In this week's DAC Monday DAC email, the link to the KSA and Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey Test Administration Manual was released. And so it can be found both on the Kentucky Department of Education's webpage and also in the Kentucky portal that's hosted by Pearson. Now, this is the most up-to-date information that has been released. I will note for you that the important dates within the test administration manual are the correct ones. We had a shift shortly after we started the February question and answer sessions in the important dates. What we realized is that when we did the recording, the dates were set using the school calendars that were projected and the end dates of when schools had previously scheduled their end of their calendar year. Upon looking at the actual calendars that were submitted to the state, we realized that we were opening up the system quite early. And we were pulling from Infinite Campus student data that would be out of date very quickly. So the decision was made to update that and shift those important dates closer to the end of the school year that for our students in our districts. So the benefit of shifting those timeframes, and again, those are updated in the test administration manual, shifting those timeframes allows for us to pull student information that will be more accurate than it would have been pulling it earlier, so that we can catch the students who transition or transfer from one district to the next or withdraw from schools. So we're hoping that that shift of the time frame saves our district assessment coordinators, our building assessment coordinators some work. So if you're looking at those important dates and you notice that the dates in the training in that video that was released and the dates in the test administration manual do not match, that's the reason why, because the decision was made to shift those dates, and those were updated again in that test administration manual. So we hope that that's clear and understandable and actually helps you as well. Also, we have had a few questions about paper testing. Devin Avery has received several questions and emails with people trying to order paper materials such as Braille and large print. I think there was a bit of confusion in the training when she said if you have a paper order or you need a paper order to contact Devin. If you're looking for large print or Braille, that's ordered through PAN. If you have a student who is not needing those paper materials, but needs a regular test book, then that's when you should email Devin. And examples would be like, for example, if a student had sensory issues and were not able to take it online, or they had some religious exemption from using a computer, things of that nature. When the student needs a regular paper test book, that's when you would email Devin. Again, the Braille and large print paper books can be ordered through PAN. The paper dates for ordering our online materials is this month on March 28th, and she has provided some directions in the online toolbox as well. And lastly, let's talk through the COVID-19 addendum to the ESSA state plan. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times when we were out with you during the question and answer session, the U.S. Department of Education has confirmed that they are expecting testing and accountability for the 2021-2022 school year, and they have not wavered on that. So we are prepared for a full administration of state assessments as well as the implementation of the new accountability system. As we've shared with you previously, the ESSA state plan has been submitted. You've already seen those and provided comments on it. It's again in process of approval through the department, and we'll be negotiating back and forth on that ESSA state plan and how to implement actually our accountability system. Now, they have opened a process to addend that plan, and that was because that there are needed shifts in our plan due to the cancellation of testing and accountability in 2020 and then moving into 2021 due to the pandemic. So there are adjustments that need to be made along those timelines. The public comment period for that addendum was February 28th through March 4th. And I want to thank you all for the questions and the comments that you've made. I do know that I received several comments and questions about that addendum, so I appreciate very much you taking the time to review that. As part of the addendum and the part of the need to addend the ESSA state plan is to shift timelines. Timelines such as the long-term goals and those measures of interim progress, as well as adjusting the state's approach to identifying TSI schools or targeted support and improvement schools, and also working toward those identification of schools for comprehensive support and improvement, those CSI schools and ATSI schools, the additional targeted and supported schools, and modifying, of course, the identified schools that are currently identified CSI or ATSI status. So that is the need for the addendum to the state plan and the process that the department laid out for states to make those shifts in those timelines. So we just wanted to make sure that you are up to date on where we are with the state plan. Also, there was one other mention too, is back to our question and answer session from our February DAC trainings. We did plan to release a frequently asked question document. So we are in the process of developing that and responding to those questions. Speaking of questions, Ben, at this point, do we have any questions that have come into our DAC info mailbox?
Yes, we've received a couple questions about this, and then we have an ACT question we can follow up during our Q&A time at the end.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead and start on them?
Sure, please.
Awesome. So this first one, this is a KSA question. Our teachers would like to practice the constructed response process to better prepare kids for the social studies test. Does KDE have any exemplars that districts can use?
So we do have practice items. The practice items are currently available to schools and students to utilize and prepare for the upcoming spring assessment. That is in the Kentucky portal and is available not only for social studies, but all of our content assessments. Those were updated and now reflect every grade level for testing. So every content, every grade level has practice items that can be utilized. And also, I would even mention that your students in a particular grade level may take that grade level, but if you want additional practice items, they could utilize items from the lower grade, or probably maybe the grade above them. So for example, if you have 4th grade students in reading, you could utilize the practice items for 4th grade. You could also utilize the 3rd grade or possibly the 5th grade. So if you wanted additional items to practice with your students.
Okay. And then this one is a clarifying question. Just to clarify, we must complete the survey during the same sitting and day as the first content assessment. Is this correct? Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you for that question. And we are a little flexible on that administration. The Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey can be given on a different day other than the very first content area assessment. And let me give you a specific example. The 3rd grade students' first content assessment is reading. And the reading test is 30 items. And we've estimated that it may take around, or we're allowing for 115 minutes. That, pairing those two administrations together would be a long time for a 3rd grade student, 4th grade students as well. I would suggest that the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey be administered to especially our younger students on one day, and then the next day do the reading assessment, so that gives the students a little feel for a state administration and gives them an opportunity to utilize the system before they get into the content area assessments. So that was a long explanation, Ben, to say that there is flexibility on the administration of the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey. One other point that I'll make too is that if a student is absent on the date that the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey is administered to the group and the student comes in, then the student can begin testing with the students at their grade on that content that the other students are testing on, and then complete the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey in a makeup session. So that's another way of flexibility to administer that Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey.
Okay. Thanks, Jennifer. I'll go ahead and read your next one to you. Is it acceptable to insert a break for all students during a testing session, especially for the younger students?
So yes, we have in the administration code, there are allowances for stretch breaks. So back to my example for that reading for younger students, it's estimated it may take up to 115 minutes. And again, we are working with Pearson to do some timing studies this spring. But yes, the test can be paused, and the students can take a stretch break during that time frame.
Okay, Thank you. And then here's your next one. During the Eddyville presentation, it was stated that there would be a point guide shared. Example, multiple choice 1 point, multiple select 2 point, short answers 4 points. Will that be available?
We are working toward that, yes. I mentioned earlier that we are developing a frequently asked questions document, so we can anticipate that being in there.
Okay. Our next one. Am I correct that special education students need to complete the assessments on the days that everyone else is scheduled to take them? For example, if reading and math are scheduled for third grade students to complete on Monday, the students getting one-on-one accommodations would need to complete those assessments on Monday as well. And they had like a clarifying point to that question, that they could not take reading on Monday and math on Tuesday, correct?
So first, I would say I would not see that as an issue. So with our students in accommodations, they have to complete the assessment that they start during that day. So if a student starts reading, if an accommodated student starts reading on that day and they have extended time, then they must complete the assessment that day. Now, I would think that extended time may be so long that they could not get to the second content area assessment that afternoon. So that in that situation, I think that it would be acceptable then to administer the next content assessment, and for this example was math, the next day, because they simply ran out of time and they couldn't administer both in one day.
Okay. And then this next one, has there been a decision made on what weights writing will have with a combination of on-demand and editing mechanics? Will those be set this summer post-testing? And then actually, yeah, that is that complete question, sorry.
No, thank you. So the weight for the combined writing is in the state assessment results for science, social studies, and writing. So it is within that indicator. I want to say equally between science, social studies, and writing. Now, editing mechanics and on-demand writing combine to for the overall writing score. There has not been any decisions made about the percentage of weights that when editing mechanics and on-demand writing are combined will be the overall score. How that's going to be determined will be during a standard setting this summer when we bring in teachers and content area experts that will determine that combination. Now, a process that will be used will be that teachers will look at the combinations of writing based on actual student performance. So the performance in editing mechanics and the performance in on-demand writing, there will be multiple samples, and the teachers will make judgments about the combination of those writings and the editing mechanics. One can imagine that each of those different content areas will receive performance levels. So the student will get performance level, novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished for editing mechanics, as well as on-demand writing. So the task during standard setting will be for the teachers to look at the performances in a combination of those content areas and bring together for overall on-demand writing. For example, if the teachers will be presented work such as the student gets a novice in editing mechanics and a novice in on-demand writing. So when you combine two novices, what would that overall writing score be? That one may be a little clear cut, as well as if you have a student who got distinguished on editing mechanics and distinguished on on-demand writing. That may be a little clear cut as well, but the teachers will make that decision. Their judgments will also look at if a student got novice on on-demand writing and a proficient on editing mechanics, and how those two come together. And that's where the teacher's judgment and the standard set will be, the standards will be set during that standard setting process. So that was, again, a long answer to say that the weights to combine editing mechanics and on-demand writing are not set. That will be made by the teachers during standard setting this summer.
Okay. And then we have, it looks like one clarifying question from your current answer. And then you have one more question, and then we are ready to move on to the next thing. And this next question, the clarifying question is, can a third grade child taking a reading assessment one-on-one with an accommodation or with accommodations take a test on a Monday if the regular testing session for reading wasn't going to take place until Tuesday?
So they're wanting to give so if it's the same grade level, they need to start at the same time.
Okay. So if they're a third grade student, they want to start at the same time with other third grade students?
That's correct.
Cool. Thank you, Jennifer. And then our final question, and then we'll move on, is, and this one's, does testing also, or does it, excuse me, also testing does not, I apologize, I'm reading up, it's a follow-up too. Testing does not have to take place in 5 consecutive days within the 14-day window, and makeup testing can be completed during the entire 14-day window. Is that correct?
That is correct. So the 5 consecutive days was in previous administration. So that was pre-pandemic. Let's call that. Let's put that 5 consecutive days in that pre-pandemic mode. The shift to online has pushed us in a different direction. And so the flexibility needs to be there across all of the 14 days. And so testing of content area assessments can be scheduled anytime within those 14 days of the district's instructional calendar. And so, and makeups can be completed at any time during that last 14 days as well.
All right, and then we just had one follow-up question. You are very popular today. Can third grade take reading on Monday and 4th grade take reading on a Tuesday? So I guess what the person is asking is, can different grade levels take on different days?
Yes. So a third grade can take reading on a day that's different than the 4th grade. Yes.
All right. That's all the questions I have. So thank you, Jennifer, so much.
All right. Thank you. And I'll hang around and say in case you have any others.
All right.
So Ben, I'm sorry. I thought you had other ACT questions. for
I
Shara?
did. I thought we had another section before we went to our Q&A.
Oh, no, that's it. We're ready.
Oh, okay. Well, I apologize. That's my mistake. And we actually now have 2 ACT questions for Shara. So I will go ahead. Shara, are you ready?
I am ready.
Awesome. Okay, so question 1 for you. During our Eddyville virtual training, it was stated that there may be some guidance for or some wiggle room for virtual students, and this is concerning the ACT test window. Is that available?
I don't know that I understand the question. Students, or if you're, say it again. Maybe I'm
Sure.
missing it.
It's about they're asking about the ACT test window. And the
Okay.
question is, during the Eddyville virtual training, it was stated that there may be some guidance or some wiggle room for virtual students concerning the ACT test window. Is that available?
Most certainly, you can bring in you have in each testing window. So the one that we're currently in, and next in window 2, you have 6 total testing days in each window. So a total of 12 days to bring in those virtual students and get them tested. So you don't necessarily have to get everybody tested like last Tuesday. You have time to get those students tested in all those days. I hope I answered the question. If I didn't, they can always email me.
Okay. And then your second question was for ACT makeups later this month for 11th grade students. Pan prompted us for a paper order to make order of makeup materials. Is it absolutely required that makeup ACT tests are completed online, or may we select paper? And they followed that up with a statement: we selected paper for the original ACT administration on March 8th.
Yeah. So if you tested paper March the 8th, it is expected that all your makeups will be online. So you don't necessarily have to wait until March 22nd to start those makeups. You could start next week. Online testing is available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So you could start your makeups next week and finish up in window 2. But online testing is required if you tested paper on Tuesday, the 8th.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the ACT questions. It
Right.
looks like we have one more follow-up question if Jennifer can come back on, and I think we're done.
All right. Thank you, Ben.
Or actually, I'm sorry. Hang on one second. That might be for you, Cheryl. Let me read the context on it.
Okay.
No, I think this is for Jennifer.
Okay.
Sorry. I apologize. We've gotten a lot of questions at once today.
I'm here if you need me.
Yep. All right.
Thanks, Shara.
So this is from Patty, and she says this is a follow-up question to the starting accommodations before the regular test that we were discussing earlier. How does this apply to virtual students in the same grade level?
So, hi, Patty. Good to hear from you. Virtual students have a lot more flexibility than the students that are in person. So what we've mentioned over the question and answer sessions is that if you can get your students virtually tested, then we would relax all those standardized rules, because we understand the obstacles that you're going to face with trying to get those students tested. So if you have particular situations that you want to run past us, then you're welcome to email DAC info. But again, there are a lot more flexibilities. So in your example, if you can get your virtual students tested on Monday evening and your other students are testing on Tuesday, then that is certainly certainly approvable. So we understand that it's going to be difficult to get those virtual students tested.
Okay, and currently, of course, we always might have one slip in right after I don't have any more questions, but if we do, I can send them to the appropriate people to get their answers.
Okay, great. Our next DAC Webcast is April 14th, just before tax day. So we'll join you in April, just before your taxes are due. Let me pause one more time and see if Ben, if you have any questions that have come in, just.
I literally just had one right as you said that. You are just lucky with so many questions today. So would you like me to go ahead and ask it now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this one looks like a follow-up on the same discussion of when a student can and can't test based on grade level. This person says, please clarify. I've heard several different explanations on this particular point. Can same grade level take the reading on a different day? Not all schools are one-to-one with devices, and this may not be possible. When we started online testing last year, it appeared to be an option to have the same grade, same content test on different days, and the accommodations for that test to be on a different day. And then they follow that up with, what about virtual students? Would they have to come in and test the same day, or can we have a separate test schedule for those students on different days from the in-person students?
Okay, so there are residual thoughts from pre-pandemic, pandemic, and now close to post-pandemic. So we're moving toward flexibilities where there are abilities to provide flexibilities. When we were doing field testing and pandemic, we were in different situations than we are now. So for our students that are in the same grade, for example, third grade reading, all students in person in third grade should start that third grade reading at the same time. So if that content area, with the exception of the possibility that our accommodated students may need to test the test the next day. So let's talk about just specifically our students in person in third grade with reading. So your in-person students would have to start the same day, but we have given the flexibility that they can test at 8 o'clock a.m. They can start testing at 10 o'clock. They can start testing at 1 o'clock. So you can have different sessions to accommodate the schools that are not one-to-one. So our students with special needs, they can start on that same day with that content. But as we mentioned earlier, you may not be able to complete all of that testing that specific day. And your students, depending on how many proctors you have and how many accommodators you have, it technically may not be possible for all of your accommodated students to start that assessment that same exact day. So I hope that clarifies. And if you have further questions, if you want to talk through it, please call. Please call and we can absolutely talk you through that.
All right. Well, I have no further questions at this time.
Okay. So please reach out if you're not clear on that. And also, we've got a couple of other resources. We've got the TAM. We tried to put really specific information in the TAM. And also, we're going to have that frequently asked question document coming out as well. So hopefully that'll provide some additional guidance. And then we're always here for you. Don't struggle with your test schedule by yourself. We're here to support you as always. Again, I want to thank you for being with us today. I want to thank all of our presenters, Shara, Dr. Robertson, Lisa, and Ben, as always, thanks for your questions. And we will see you back here in April. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. Talk to you soon.